Like gum on your shoe, the EU's preoccupation with getting its hands on Russia's frozen central bank reserves just won't go away. It's not hard to explain why. The EU and NATO are desperate to keep the Ukraine war going, but they don't have the money to do so. Now that President Trump has forced the Europeans to pay for every weapon they send to Ukraine. Therefore, why not just steal the money? The idea isn't new, of course. Already back in 2024, Western countries sent to Ukraine what they called, quote, the windfall profits earned by Russia's sovereign assets. But the amount sent was pitifully small. Now the EU wants to get its hands on all of Russia's frozen assets, the principal and the interest. Ahead of this week's EU Council meeting, EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen unveiled a plan to, quote, lend Ukraine hundreds of billions of euros. The loan would be secured by Russia's frozen assets. Ukraine would owe the EU the money, but would only have to repay it if Russia agrees to pay what the EU calls war reparations. The plan allocates 115 billion for Ukraine's military industry, 50 billion for Kiev's budget, and 45 billion for repayment of a G7 loan. Von der Leyen has a problem, though, and that problem is Belgium. The largest chunk of Russia's frozen assets, some 140 billion, is in Euroclear, a financial entity in Belgium, and Belgium is afraid it'll be on the hook if Russia comes demanding its money back. Belgium's concerns are well-founded. International law prohibits seizure by any state of the sovereign assets of another state. According to the UN Convention on Jurisdictional Immunities of States and Their Property, a state, quote, enjoys immunity in respect of itself and its property from the jurisdiction of the courts of another state. If von der Leyen truly believed her plan had any legal standing, she could have gone to the World Court to get an advisory opinion. She didn't for an obvious reason. The World Court would have given her a swift and unambiguous opinion. It's illegal. If the EU does go ahead with the theft of Russia's sovereign assets, Russia will without question drag the EU through the courts and will almost certainly prevail. Worse, the EU's reputation as a safe place to park one's money will be destroyed forever. The EU's response is to turn the screws on Belgian Prime Minister Bart de Wever. Don't worry about a thing, the EU tells him. Once Russia pays the war reparation, Ukraine will repay the EU will repay Euroclear, and Euroclear will repay the Russian central bank, and no one will be out of pocket. Belgium isn't buying any of this and is asking for repayment funds to be set aside now. That, of course, isn't happening. The EU is doing what it does best, bullying. According to Politico, quote, if de Wever continues to block the plan, he will find himself frozen out and ignored, just like Hungary's Viktor Orbán. In the eyes of the EU, that's a fate worse than death.